Hello, and welcome back to another Minecraft Let's Play video with me, Elven Dragon, here in Feed the Beast Guys 2 on Shadowlands SMP. So last episode we went and did a little bit of work setting up an AE2 system, getting ourselves a quantum computer core so we can do a bunch of auto crafting. And today, what I think we're going to get up to is we're going to try and get a view of our Feed the Beast pyramid pieces that we need on that bottom layer. So we've got two of the pieces that we need for one of them, which is the Kraken Shell and 4 Omega productivity upgrades. And I think we should be able to get a few of them done pretty easily. So if we go ahead and look at our pyramid here, we have these 6 pieces here on the bottom. So most of these we're missing a couple things from, but I think we should be able to get this Omega Dragon Egg. We have 3 of these pieces. Actually, we can easily get 4 of these pieces. We're just missing the Paracausal Flame and the Whiff of Magic. And this kettle from Enchanted, which doesn't look to be too hard. Looks like we're going to need a Whiff of Magic anyway to get an attuned stone. But if we just get this Witch's Oven, which actually we could probably just get, I think we have enough stuff. Apparently I have not put our iron bars into the storage system. Alright, that's fixed. So, we have Witch's Oven here. Let's go bring this and put this over in our enchanted section. We've got a space marked out. I believe it's right here for that. Oh, that's actually really tiny. I was expecting that to be much bigger. Go ahead and put it right there. So it looks like for this, we need a rowan sapling, which means we need to find one. I wonder if our book has anything about that. I believe I saw a chapter on Enchanted, but I haven't really looked too much into it yet. So, entering Enchanted. Conic block into herbology off to the side. Magical seeds help your green thumb get growing. Okay, so we need a clay jar, which we should be able to do easily. Looks like it's just smelting an unfired jar in a furnace, and those look like they're just 4 clay balls. Alright, that should be really easy. I think we can make like 24 at once using our mystical agriculture essences. So that should be really easy to do. Alright, so it looks like we need to get a clay jar for this. For our Whiff of Magic. But it looks like if we go through here, we need to get this Mutandis. Which is a few things here. So we need a Mandrake Root, Horned One's Exhale, and an egg to get this in the Witch's Cauldron. Looks like we just need oak sapling in there to get this. Should have a mandrake seeds somewhere. I thought we had mandrake seeds, but it looks like we can go and buy those anyway. So we can go ahead and get that crafting up, and we should have some clay already prepped. We can go ahead and smelt all those down into bottles. But this shouldn't be too bad to get. So we'll go ahead and just drop these into our little smelter down below here. It'll be a little quicker, and I think I've been using the other one to smelt up some ores. But there we go. There's our clay jars. And now that should be just about everything that we need to get that first piece with that Horned God's Exhale. So let's go ahead and stick those in our Witch's Oven. Looks like that's going to need some sort of fuel source. So we'll have to go grab a little bit of coal here to power that. All right, fuel in there. And for some reason, it doesn't seem like we've gotten the Horned One's Exhale here. Don't know what's going on with that. Maybe it's not a guaranteed thing. But turns out we have a Mandrake Root. Just going to put a bunch of those saplings in there. And we had enough of the seeds to get our post here. So, I believe that said that this actually needs a source of fuel. So we'll go ahead and steal the campfire to make sure we actually have Silk Touch on our pickaxe. We set this one up here because we needed some stuff for a different part of the pyramid pieces. So let's put that down, put our cauldron on top of that. Now I believe we just need to toss the stuff in, if I'm reading this correctly. Yeah, so we need that Horned One's Exhale still, and we need a bucket of water. So we're going to take a look. It doesn't look like we've gotten any more. We're definitely going to need more fuel. We're getting a decent amount of wood ash. I don't know what we'll use that for, though. So we're going to have to play around with this, see what's going wrong. Maybe our book has something about it. So we'll have to go and check that. But I'm going to go and try and figure out what's going on with this and see if we need to do anything different. And then I'll be right back. All right, so it seems like there was nothing we were doing wrong and it just needed a little bit longer to actually craft up. But we put these into the cauldron, I believe. Ingredients need to be dropped into the cauldron in a specific order. So for this, they need to be dropped in mandrake essence and then the egg. So let's go ahead and toss that in, and then that in. And then that should hopefully craft up. Oh, that works. We have a wasted radioactive honey tree. We did finally manage to get enough genes from our bees to get one. So we can go ahead and just let that craft up. We'll get a wasted radioactive bee. And let's check on this real quick. Nope, still doesn't look like it's done. But we actually have a bunch of wasted radioactive bees now because I've been trying to get enough of our polonium because it turns out we need a bunch of antimatter crystals. But that's going to take a long time to amass, so we'll just leave that be for right now. What we really need is we need to get this mutandus. So it looks like if we use that, we can put that on an oak sapling surrounded by a bunch of plants. And that should hopefully get us a rowan sapling. But we need the mutandus to do that. And I guess we should probably have another look into our book to see how we're supposed to get that. Because it should presumably be done crafting by now, but it doesn't seem to be. All right, so we need to right click to extract it. And there we go. That gets us all of that. Now, if we head over to here, I've got everything set up. We were just waiting on that. I believe if we do that, and that should start the process. It looks like we can only do one, and we now just have to wait for it to grow, I guess. So while we do that, we have a few other things that we can work on. So our second piece that we need here is this paracausal flame. We already pretty much have all of this stuff already. Already got the ether, arcane, eldritch, hexash, and crying obsidian. So that's not going to be too bad. We can go get that whenever. Now, but the second one that we want to do is we have this elemental arcanite, which we have all this stuff for. I went and got a mithril bee so we could get more mithril, which is why we've got a decent amount now. And this evolutionary matter. We should have access to all of this stuff. The living flesh comes from malum, so we can easily craft that up. The nitro crystal, we just need to get into a little bit of power. So that isn't going to take too long. We just need to get our energizing orb here. The issue for that is going to be all of the dielectric paste that we're going to need. So that's just going to take a lot of crafting to do, especially since we're going to want to upgrade all of our stuff so that we can actually get this decently quickly. So that's just going to take a lot of time charging. We could probably actually get this with basic equipment. It'll just take a very, very long time. But the other few parts here, the charged redstone crystal, we can use our charger. Looks like that's not going to be too hard. Oh, we can just use the reaction chamber. Yeah, because that would just get us a bunch of them. Or we can use this. Just submerge it in water. So that's not an issue. What we need is these predictions. And for that, we need a simulation chamber. For which we are going to need, apparently, a bunch of torches. So we can go ahead and get these. I already have some data modules here. So we have our Enderman one, which we can easily get. We got a magma cube one, and I went ahead and got a rabbit one as well, since we need some rabbit feet to get the final chalk that we need for occultism. So we can go ahead and get all of those. And I think, pretty much with the exception of the realized transcendence, we should be able to get most, if not all of the stuff we need to craft the bottom layer. The issue is we need some other stuff from some other mods, and those look like they're going to be a little bit of work to get. I think we should be able to get all the stuff for these three fairly easily. So, a few quick things later, it gets us our simulation chamber. Let's go ahead and get the rabbit ones first, just so that we can get that. But we'll need some prediction matrices, we'll need some actual power cords going into here. I think that'll work quite well. We just need to connect those up, and that should be good. Because again, we don't necessarily care about the drops. We just really care about getting our overword prediction, which we should get every single time. So I'm going to go ahead and wait for that rowan sapling to get produced. Get at least some of our prediction matrices set up so that we can get our simulation chamber going. And then I'll be right back. All right, so we finally have our rowan sapling. We actually got an alder sapling first. So we have that just growing over here. But we need to grow that up. I'm going to set that there. But while we've been waiting for that to form, we've just been working on our little power section here. So we've gotten all the way up to Niotic on our energizing rods. So I think we should be able to go ahead and get that. It'll take a while, but we have plenty of power and we have plenty of time. Also been busy working on getting our different predictions. So we have the overworld and the ender ones. I did go ahead and get a loot fabricator just because I figured we might as well have one just in case we get predictions. So we can go ahead and toss the magma cube ones in there. We didn't get any rabbit ones, unfortunately, but all in all, we're not doing too bad. I knew a lot of this stuff wasn't going to be too complicated to set up and wasn't going to take very long once we did get it set up, but I did spend some time reading this Art of Witchcraft a little bit, and it looks like what we need for this is we need to make an altar, which is going to require some greenery around it. But this thing isn't too bad. We need some stone bricks, we need more horned ones exhale, and some rowan logs, which we needed anyway because we need the rowan for the whiff of magic. So we should be able to get that fairly quickly once this grows up. If this functions like the other magical essences we've gathered, then we're definitely going to need a bunch of rowan saplings, because it seems to only be giving us 1 or 2 essences for every 5 saplings we put in, which if we go and steal one of our hoes from our mystical agriculture farm should get us that fairly quickly. There we go. All right, we just need to go grab the stone bricks and we should be good for crafting up that altar. But all in all, I'm quite happy with how this is going. Should be able to get just about everything here not too long. So I'm going to go get that altar set up, figure out how much power we have already out there, and then I'll be right back. All right, so we've gone ahead and gotten the altar set up, and we managed to get enough attuned stones to get a few different things. So I was looking in the book, and it looks like we need some wither skelly skulls, this chalice, and some candles to maximize our altar power. So we're doing all right, but it does mean that we can make ourselves a kettle. We are going to need a campfire as well, if I'm reading everything correctly. So we'll have to go and figure out where we're going to stick that. But with all of that, that should hopefully be enough to be able to craft this thing. Still have to get the paracusal flame, but I've been wanting to get this at least set up before we go and put everything in to get that crafting. So let's go bring these over to our altar and see how much more we're going to need. Hopefully this is enough. Looks like we have to press that on top, but we're at 1,500 already. So hopefully this should be enough. No, we're at 2,100. There is one more upgrade for the chalice that we could do. I've been holding off because it is kind of expensive. But we can go ahead and get our kettle set up. We have to figure out where we need to put it. I know it has to be within a certain range of our altar here, but I don't remember what that is. Let's see, maybe over here? But there we go, we've got a kettle. And it looks like we may have to go ahead and craft that chalice upgrade. But one thing that we can do while we try and figure that out is we can go ahead and get that last piece that we are missing. So we can go ahead and get our crying obsidian on there. We need arcane spirits, we need hex ash, we need wicked and ether, and I believe that's all we need for the paracausal flame. Yes. All right. Don't know why that's not crafting. It's eldritch spirit. Wrong spirit. All right. Turns out we don't have an eldritch spirit, which means that we are probably gonna have to go fight a wither here with this scythe. Shouldn't be too bad. At least we have the wither killing thing. But we'll have to go and figure out what all we need for this. If I look in the book, we need this filled chalice, which needs redstone soup, which is redstone, wool of bat, tongue of dog, belladonna flower, and mandrake root. And this drop of luck. So mandrake, netherwort, refined evil, mudantis extremis, and Tear of the Goddess, which is going to call for the distillery. So, looks like we're going to need a few different things. Redentus and Netherwort, this should be pretty easy to get. And it looks like we need to make an Arthana and find a bat and a wolf. Well, we've got a few things to find and a wither to defeat. So I'm going to go ahead and take care of all the mobs that we need to go fight now and gather up everything that we're going to need. And then I'll be right back. All right, so we finally actually got our altar power all the way up. Turns out I just got a head from the Wandering Trader, and that seems to work just fine. And we put a bunch of various plants and stuff around here. That seems to have gotten it up to the level that we need to craft our Omega Dragon Egg, which, as it turns out, requires a lot less altar power than the redstone potion that we were trying to make. So, I've got everything in order here. Don't ask why we have 51 inactive dragon eggs, but just need to toss in dragon eggs. You have to toss those in individually. Apparently, it doesn't want to take our Omega productivity upgrades, which is kind of weird. Don't know why. You know, it would actually help if I paid attention to what machine we're supposed to be using here. So we're going to need another dragon's egg. Fortunately, we have a bunch more of those, so we can make that easily. So, let's go ahead and fill that with water. Guess we just have to toss those in as well. Much smaller target to hit there. So, we'll go above here and just drop them in. So, let's drop those in. And, okay. Did we mess this up again? Alright, so everything restocked, and let's try this again. So, apparently we have to wait for the color to change and the particles to spritz out by tossing all of the Omega upgrades. There we go. That must have been what was the problem. We didn't toss them all in at once. Toss in the Paracolossal Flame, Kraken Shell, Dragon's Breath, and finally, Whiff of Magic. And if we've done everything right, and I'm pretty sure this is going to work the same way that our Cauldron did, so if we click on that, we should have our Omega Dragon's Egg. There we go, which is our first of our pieces here. So, let's go grab our reward from our quest book. Looks like it's just some experience levels and a crystal coin. Not too bad. So I guess next we go on to working on our other two pieces that I think we're going to be able to get. So for the Elemental Arcana, we have everything. We've got a tank full of liquid chorus because I stuck some ender combs through our little centrifuge and filled up our pipeways. So we have more than enough of that. And this evolutionary matter. So this is what we needed nitro crystals from power for. And we needed all of our overworld, nether, and ender predictions. Now, the other three things that we need here, we don't have, but they should be pretty easy to get. The portal fluid is using our goo, so that shouldn't be too hard. Getting the amount that we're going to need, because we're going to need 16 of it, that might be a little difficult, but that's just a matter of waiting and processing stuff. The charged redstone crystal, which we already kind of went over earlier, we can just use our charger on a redstone crystal, which we can either use our reaction chamber or tossing stuff into water. I think we'll just use the tossing stuff into water. It's only 8 units of this, so it's not going to take that long. We'll just toss it all in and it'll all react at the same time. And the final thing for that is living flesh, which is a Malum Spirit infusion, which we have everything for this. That's not going to take too long. So let's go ahead and grab all the stuff that we're going to need for that. Apparently we need more glowstone, and we're definitely going to need more fluix. But we have plenty of essences for those, so I'm not too concerned. But I'm going to go ahead and get everything we need for these, toss it all into the water, and charge it up, and start work on gathering up all the stuff that we're going to need for these in our inventory. And then I'll be back once we're ready to build the contraption that we're going to need to put all this together. Alright, so we've gone and gotten everything that we're going to need for both of our pyramid pieces. Gone and gotten a little bit of stuff for create so we can actually get that set up. So we've got our 5 deployers, we got a spout, got a large water wheel because I think that that should give us plenty of resistive force to be able to power all of this. Got some shafts to connect everything up, and we've got some mechanical belts. Now, the one thing I got here was to get some cogs to support everything. But we've got an area down in the bottom area here. I've got these etched cobblestone bricks, and I think this is where we're going to put this. Of course, when I started planning this out, I was expecting it to be a bit larger than what I think we're going to need. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and figure out where we need to stick this water wheel. It looks like it needs to be 1 block up. There we go. I guess we could do 1 block higher, but I think that's right. Now we just need to go ahead and get this set up. We'll need a special thing. I think there's a covering that we can put our shafts on. But what I'm thinking here is we'll have our large cogwheel right on the inside here. We'll have a small one on the side, which will connect to our belt. So we'll have another one up on top that'll power all of our deployers, which means we need to figure out where exactly this is going to go. So our belt is going to be on this layer, which means I believe we need our deployers up here. So if we do that, that's going to be our spout. Put our deployers here. That should work. Now, I believe we should just be able to put these all in a row, and those are not going in the right direction. Okay, reverse this here. But I think this should work. This is a lot smaller than what I was originally planning. Should just be able to put gears going all along here. Hopefully this isn't too close to the river, and we can actually get the wall fully in here. This gets us our area marked out, so we can go ahead and put our other shaft down and get our first conveyor belt marked out. So I actually want to expand that one further past where our spout is. So I think we just need to click that, and it would help if we actually had the shaft on the right block. So if we've got the setup right, we should just be able to put stuff in on this side and let it go all the way to the end. Now, one thing I do want to do is I do want to have this set up so it will automatically pull stuff back and bring it to the beginning again, which is going to take a little bit of work to get the belts running properly. And you know what? We may have to move this further in just so that this sits a little bit nicer along the river here. Oh, I'll have to play around with this. We still need to get the gears and everything else. But all in all, I think this should be good. So I'm going to go get the actual machinery stuff set up and ready to go. And then I'll be back once we have everything to go and get this crafting. All right, one slightly convoluted mess of gears and shafts later, and I think we've got this ready to go. So go ahead and we put our cinder essence in our deployers. Just set everything up here. I think if there's nothing in there, it should keep going. But one thing I'm not certain about is our fluid section here. So we do that. Hopefully this will go into our, there we go. Okay, so if we go ahead and we toss our book on there and we wait for it to go all the way around. This is going to take a while. This is not particularly fast, but at least it works. All right, there we go. It's coming up to the first stop. So there we go. It will stop for each deployer, which is good. So we can see it already starting to change. It goes through. And now, if it doesn't stop for that last deployer, we should just need to go and wait for this to go around another 15 times. I think this one's the 15. And it is going to stop there. All right, we may have to take out that deployer for the first one. All right, that's fixed. So I'm going to sit and wait here for this to finish crafting up and get our other piece crafted. And then I'll be back. All right, and there we go. We now have both the evolutionary matter and the elemental arcanite, which means we can go and add them to our pyramid that we've kind of started making up. I don't know why I put item frames on there. We don't actually need these. We can just go ahead and place them, get out of that thing, and it looks a lot nicer if we do that, actually. Let's go ahead and do that. Get rid of all those. There we go. So we've got 3 pieces of our pyramid. Don't know what we're going to put in the corner here, because if we look in our book, that's just the click for the quest marker. So we'll have to figure something out with that. Actually, that one would be the transcendence, because we've kind of shifted everything over. So no clue what we're going to put there, but there we go. We now have 3 of our pyramid pieces completely done. So with that, I think that is going to be about it for today. So if you enjoyed the video, please leave a like and consider subscribing if you want to see more of what is going on our little island here. And I will catch you all in the next one. Goodbye.